Hey, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us today for a very busy forecast. Yes, I spent a lot of time putting this together today because we have a lot of activity over the next few days. We're going to get right into it. Here are your headlines. Supercells are spitting out tornadoes this afternoon. Well, they have the potential to, okay? Not only today, but also tomorrow and into the end of the work week and then also this weekend. We have storms across a very wide portion of the U.S., so a lot of people impacted by this. Scattered to strong, severe storms in the northern plains today, but then we jump down to the Midwest tomorrow, anywhere from Wisconsin to Missouri, in the path for that 2-inch hail potential today. So yes, we could get hailstones larger than the size of a tennis ball baseball, I think, for tomorrow. We're going to be a little bit smaller today, better chance for larger hail tomorrow, but we'll talk about it. Next stop on our hail tour is what it feels like here. No, it's not the Raising Hail Tour. It's just that risk after risk after risk. Where do we see the storms this weekend? That'll be in Oklahoma. So southern plains are thrown into the mix there, and I'll break that down for you. Sometimes I wait until the very end to show this forecast. I want to show you at the very beginning. So let's talk about it. Wednesday, today, the best chance for large hail is going to be in the northern plains. So we're talking Nebraska and the Dakotas, kind of mixing in Minnesota and Iowa here. But then as you head farther down to the south and east, you could still see some smaller hailstones out there. We've already got a severe thunderstorm warning ongoing right now. Moving into Thursday now, you can see that those storms move out to the Midwest. We're talking Wisconsin, into Chicago, Michigan, and then even as far south as St. Louis included in that large hail risk. As we head into Friday, we shift a little bit farther down to the south into Memphis, St. Louis, and Cincinnati. But Saturday and Sunday brings us back into the southern plains, primarily Sunday and even Monday. So yes, we have storms across Oklahoma, including Oklahoma City on Sunday. We widen that just a little bit to bring us up into central Kansas by Monday. Oh, that is a lot of storm risks over the next 5 to 6 days. So let's break down our storm risk today, then we'll get to tomorrow. I know there's a lot to talk about here. Let's first, actually, something fun here. We have a giveaway going on right now. We have a drone giveaway. We just got this in the mail, so it is currently in the Hail Trace headquarters. The drone is retailing about $600, but you can get it for free. All you have to do to enter the drawing is record a video or write a post about how Hail Trace has helped your company succeed. I've read a few of these already, and we enjoy hearing about how we have helped your company. But this is, of course, for that giveaway. So what do you have to do? You have to tag Hail Trace. Every tag on a different platform, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you can kind of see the rest there. Every tag on a different platform is another entry. Tag Hail Trace. Use that hashtag 15 years of Hail Trace. Alrighty, let's get into those storms here. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning going on right now. This is in, I think it's the Carolinas, right? There's Greensboro right there. So there's South Carolina. And let's get some information on this storm. We've got 1-inch size hail is what it's warned for. For Danville and Milton, this is also warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind, about 46,000 people impacted by this warning right here. And it goes until 1:45 Eastern time, so that means we've got another 25 minutes left on this warning. This is just the first warning of the day. We still have a very wide area of storms, potential storms to talk about. And we do have some showers and storms going on right now. Raleigh is also getting some of those storms right there. There's Roanoke also getting some of those showers and storms. So only one of these is warned as of now. But again, we've got a lot to talk about and a lot of area to cover for potential storms today. What about yesterday? What happened yesterday? Not going to lie, we overdid the hail sizes yesterday. We like to be very, very honest about what happened with the forecast, and I thought we were going to see larger hail. All that we saw yesterday was quarter-size hail, just 1 inchers out there. We did a pretty good job with the wind forecast. I think that was spot on, especially out in the Dakotas yesterday. We put that wind forecast right in the middle to the western side of the Dakotas, and we did get some pretty good wind gusts out of these southern storms here in South Dakota. So I think we did a pretty good job with that wind forecast yesterday, maybe overestimated the hail sizes just a little bit. We do still have a pretty decent front sitting out in the Dakotas right now, so that's going to spark up some storms later on today. And then we've got another little area, low pressure system sitting out on the east coast that's also going to help to bring in that moisture and those storms over the next few hours. That's ongoing right now. Taking a look at Florida, pretty dry, kind of around the radar here. What are we seeing across the country? A few showers up in New York. Dry across the southern plains for now, but this will be our target for Sunday and Monday. And then we've got a few showers going on near Rapid City and then out to the west as well. We're actually expecting some snow out to the west. You can see those cooler temperatures out there highlighted in blue. 40s and 50s anywhere from Billings to Boise. 86 in Oklahoma City, but wait, it gets hotter. 92 down in Dallas. Holy moly, way above average for this time of the year. And we're going to continue to see this trend where we have these warm temperatures over the next few days. It actually shifts out to the east into places like Chicago and St. Louis. So if you like your temperatures today, it's going to be a scorcher tomorrow. Enjoy the outside while you can before you're sweating as we head into the end of the work week. Now moving on to that severe risk. We like to say from heat to hail. Here's what you're expecting for today. This is your hail risk for today, anywhere from Washington, D.C., all the way down to South Carolina, and even into portions of Illinois here. But the better chance for stronger storms is in Nebraska. South Dakota, North Dakota included in this, but really Nebraska. You see those areas that are hatched here? This is what meteorologists like to call a hatched risk. The Storm Prediction Center, what they do is they put these dashed lines on there to signify significant hail. So that means large hail. And we'll talk about just how large are we going to get in just a few minutes. But you can see that those storms will go up within the next few hours into the late night hours tonight and maybe even into the overnight hours, bringing us all the way into Thursday. So we'll get a break early tomorrow morning, but then these storms go up pretty fast tomorrow. We have several rounds of storms here on Thursday afternoon. You'll see that first round anywhere from Wisconsin all the way down to Chicago. We've even got a few more storms into the overnight hours and into Friday morning, but we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here. So let's go back to today. Here is your significant hail model for today. What you're going to see here is that we've got a little pocket of some larger hail that could pop out in Kentucky, but for the most part, that largest hail is going to be in central Nebraska. So we're talking about right in the center portion of the state, maybe trying to creep up to the southern portion of South Dakota. So that's for today. Tomorrow, that'll shift off to the east, into the Midwest. And what we're really seeing here is a little pocket near St. Louis all the way up to Chicago. So I think I put those larger hail sizes in Illinois for tomorrow, but we'll get to that here in just a few minutes. For today, the max hail size that we're going to get, maybe anywhere from tennis to baseball size hail. Where will that be? Central Nebraska, okay? That area highlighted in red right here. Let's go out to the east, and then we'll go back to the Dakotas, to the plains here. If you go out to the east, what you're going to see is the best chances for storms are where they're going up right now. You're going to get that daytime heating. That's going to help to fuel storms. You guys know the drill here, right? What are the four main ingredients for storm development or storm initiation? You need heat and you need moisture, and you've got plenty of that in Greensboro and Charlotte and Greenville right now. It's probably feeling pretty tropical out there right now just because of all of that heat and moisture. The hail risk extends all the way up to Washington, D.C. I kept it in a low risk there, highlighted in green. We've got some small hail that's possible with this. Knoxville also highlighted in green. The larger hail, as I mentioned, in the central portion of Kentucky. Indianapolis also included in this hail risk here, but it's a pretty low risk to get those stronger storms. Really the main place that we're watching for today, again, is central Nebraska, all the way up into Norfolk, maybe even south of Sioux Falls here, into the far eastern side of Nebraska, hugging the Iowa state line. I know that we often have a lot of people watching in Iowa. They're always asking about their hail risk. So let's zoom down in here and talk about the hail from Nebraska to Iowa today. I have McCook for that moderate, that level 2 risk for storms later on this evening, okay? So we've got a few hours until these pop up. That moderate risk, they're highlighted in yellow. Large hail in this area, so if we were to see that tennis ball, maybe baseball size hail, right here, that's your storm zone. As we go out to the east, we're going to talk about eastern Nebraska and to the northwestern side of Iowa. If you're looking for storms on the east side of Iowa, wait until tomorrow. You'll have another chance tomorrow. Your wind forecast for today, I told you we nailed this yesterday. I think that 65, 70 mile per hour wind speeds are possible anywhere from Cook all the way up to Sioux Falls. Charlotte and Greenville also included in this wind forecast for today. So pretty similar to your hail forecast, 65, 70 mile per hour wind speeds is what we expect today. What about that tornado forecast? East Coast, very, very low tornado risk for today. I didn't even put it on the board. I just think it's a very low risk. If we see a tornado, it'll be because of those supercells that are in central Nebraska. You're kind of sensing a theme here. Central Nebraska is the best chance for tornadoes and large hail today. McCook, anywhere from Norfolk, is that level 2 risk highlighted in yellow, but we do have a level 1 risk. It's a low risk, but it's still something to note, all the way up into North Dakota, into Bismarck, Sioux Falls area in South Dakota. Alrighty, moving on to your timeline now. Storms are already going up in the Carolinas and into the Virginias. So we're going to see this ongoing through the afternoon and into the evening hours. You may get several rounds of storms here. They're pretty widespread. You can see that storms even stretch out into Kentucky. Maybe there's your hailer. I don't know. We'll see if we can get something in central Kentucky to produce some larger hail. Other than that, pretty small hail out in the East Coast today. We're talking what we like to call pocket change hail. We're talking those nickels, dimes, quarters out in the East Coast. Here's your larger hailstones. We need these isolated storms right here. This is what we need to produce those larger hailstones. Supercells is what we're really going to be watching for today. As they start to cluster here, we're going to get smaller hailstones, okay? So clustered storms get very messy. It's difficult for them to organize, and that oftentimes produces smaller hailstones. But if we could get some of these, especially these southern storms right here, sometimes they can isolate themselves. This is what we call a discrete supercell, and that will be your hailer. So again, this will be later on today into the evening and even after dark hours. Alrighty, moving on to tomorrow. I know a lot of people have jumped on here for that Chicago forecast, so let's get into it. We talked about those storms happening today. You're going to see them track out to the east into places like Minnesota and Iowa into the late night hours tonight. This may wake you up. You may hear some thunder out your window, maybe see some of that lightning as well. Into the overnight hours, make sure that you have multiple ways to get severe weather alerts. However, I do think that the severe risk will go down into the early morning hours on Thursday. As we get into the late hours on Thursday, actually I'm going to back this up. I went a little fast here, so wait for my graphics to catch up. There we go. And let's talk about Thursday. Alrighty, graphics, any day now. Because I did go a little fast here. Okay, here we go, Wednesday afternoon. You get to see the Dakotas again. And here's Thursday. Okay, so the overnight hours, you could see some of those stronger storms, but the severe risk is pretty low. Here we are early Thursday morning, maybe a storm or two in Minneapolis for your morning commute. But really what we're watching for here is this line of storms. Do you see that? Anywhere from Minneapolis all the way down to the east side of Iowa, right into the nose of Iowa right there. That'll be your first round of storms. Chicago, I know you're at the very corner of the screen. However, do you see that you could have multiple rounds of storms out in Chicago? You've got that first line, and then you've got a line behind it, and then you could even have a line behind that. So make sure that you have multiple ways to get weather alerts tomorrow. Of course, our hail trace meteorologists are going to be watching that and sending out alerts for large hail in your area. But this could impact your evening commute. Check out the time right now, 6 o'clock. That is what we're watching whenever, that is the time that we're watching for storms to come into Chicago. As we head into the late night hours, I do think that that risk will go down as the sun sets. Look at that nice low pressure system there. Did you see that circulation? Really nice right there. Alrighty, let's move on we've got storms on Friday as well. Friday looks really, really good just to the south of the Midwest. But I do want to move on to that hail forecast for tomorrow. So I did include Chicago in that high risk for tomorrow. That is a level 3 highlighted there in red. So level 3 highlighted in red for Chicago tomorrow. Really what I think is because you guys are going to have multiple rounds of storms, so one of those storms could have some potential large hail. I stuck you in that half dollar size to golf ball size category. However, a few larger hailstones could mix in there. Could you get tennis balls? I think that's possible. It's not out of the question. As you head farther down into Illinois, that's where I think there's going to be a zone of high lapse rates here. And we're going to get into some meteorological knowledge. What are lapse rates? Basically, that is a number that we can give particles in the atmosphere that rise into this thunderstorm. You get a strong updraft from higher lapse rates. Why does that matter? Well, that updraft is going to hold that hailstone in that cloud longer, allowing it to grow. So we see that right in here, and that's going to create some larger hailstones, which is why I have outlined this in red for those larger hailstones, anywhere from golf ball to tennis ball, maybe mixing in some baseball-sized hailstones there, and that would be Indianapolis, just south of Chicago, and into the central portion of Illinois. But they're not the only ones with the potential for storms tomorrow. We've got Minneapolis with those storms in the earlier portion of the day, and then we could even see storms across Michigan. All the way down to Little Rock, we see a stretch, a line of storms here. As we head later into the day, we could also see a few isolated storms anywhere from Nashville to Pittsburgh. A lot of people in the risk for tomorrow. And again, we've already talked about this, but the largest hail size that we could see tomorrow, up to baseball size hail. We also have excuse me, one more time. We also have a tornado risk on the board for tomorrow as well. This is a level 2 for a lot of people here, Minneapolis, Chicago, Indianapolis, all included in that highlighted in yellow. So that is what we consider a moderate risk. It's a level 2 risk. So that was a lot, right? That was a lot of information that we just gave you. Let's recap that real quick. Tomorrow, storms anywhere from Minneapolis to Chicago, into St. Louis, into Cincinnati. As we head into Friday, that risk is going to shift down to the south, Cincinnati, all the way down to Memphis, even into places like Little Rock, and even like skimming the far southeastern side of Oklahoma there. But really that risk for Oklahoma and Kansas is going to come later into the weekend, Sunday and Monday. So I do think that we have a pretty good chance for storms. Even this far out, I think that we have a pretty good chance for storms on Sunday and Monday. Why? This is all brought to you by a low pressure system. We've got a trough moving through the states right now, and then we've got a low pressure system right in the middle of that. So what that does, what we look for stronger storms, is this, what we call a jet streak. So what that means is essentially some higher winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and we're looking for these yellows, maybe oranges, and reds to mix in. What we know from the upper levels of the atmosphere here, what you're looking at is the jet stream. What we know is anytime that we get these troughs, we're going to get some sort of active weather. And because we see just trough after trough, we do assume that we're going to have active weather, very similar to the forecast that you saw today, where it's like day after day after day of storm risks. We're going to see this not only this week, but also into next week as well. We're talking about the early portion of next week could stay pretty active. Temperatures, I like to throw this graphic in here. I just like to see how much it's warmed up over the last 24 hours. Pretty significant warm up across Oklahoma. And there's your forecast. As always, you can post your questions in the comments section. I'm pretty good within the next hour about getting back to those and responding to those. I often respond with a graphic, so if you have a question about a specific location, I will try to get back to you and respond to you about that. But if you missed a portion of the forecast, you can always go back and watch it. You can pause it, rewind it, play it slower if I went too fast here. I know this was a lot of information today. Don't forget about our drone giveaway. Record a video or post about how HailTrace has helped your company succeed. We've already gotten several entries to this contest, but it's not over until the end of the month. You can post as many times as you want on different platforms. Don't forget to tag HailTrace, and this is very important. Also use the hashtag 15 years of HailTrace. This is all in celebration of our 15-year anniversary. Time flies, right? And don't forget to follow us on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Threads. And if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map, give us a call at 855, try that one more time, 855-334-4245, or email us at info@hailtrace.com. You can also head to our website, hailtrace.com. We map storms in real time, so we have, how many METs do we have back there right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5? Okay, Matt is confirming with me. We have 5 meteorologists mapping right now that are ready to map those storms today. So we've got a lot of people ready to create those hail maps, wind maps, and tornado maps. So give us a call if you're interested in getting set up with one of those. Alrighty, have a good Wednesday. We'll probably be back on in a few hours to give you a radar update. But until then, have a good Wednesday.